When Nkechi's father died, her world collapsed like a building with weak foundation. Her mother became a shadow of herself. Feeding the children became daily warfare. The morning air was thick with sorrow. A 16-year-old Nkechi Okafor, a pretty girl with soft brown skin and gentle eyes, sat outside their house. Her mood was a storm of grief, confusion, and fear. Her father's burial had ended less than a day ago. His absence hung around her like a shadow too large for her young shoulders to carry. Inside the house, pots clanged softly as Mama Nkechi cried silently while trying to sweep the floor. She had cried so much her eyes were swollen, her skin pale with exhaustion. Every movement she made felt forced, heavy, like life had drained out of her the moment her husband took his last breath. A sudden honk shattered the quiet. A dark blue Toyota Corolla rolled into their compound, raising red dust that curled in the air like spirits. The car door opened and Aunt Stella stepped out. She wore a fitted red blouse, a black skirt, expensive gold earrings, and high-heeled shoes and an expensive perfume that announced her presence. "Nuam am sorry, oh," Aunt Stella exclaimed dramatically as she walked toward her sister Mama Nkechi. "This kind of loss, it's not easy." Mama Nkechi forced a weak smile and hugged her reluctantly. She didn't trust Stella entirely. Something about her always felt slippery, but grief had softened her caution. Aunt Stella's eyes soon drifted to the young girl standing quietly near the doorway. "Nkechi," she called warmly, "my beautiful niece, you look so grown. How old are you now?" 16, Auntie, she answered softly. Stella clasped her hands together. "In! And you're still here in this village? This girl deserves better." The words hit Mama Nkechi's heart like a hammer. She already feared for her daughter's future. She had no money, no job, no husband anymore. The world looked frightening. Stella sat down on a wooden bench, crossing her legs elegantly, too elegantly for a morning visit. "My sister," she began, adjusting her wristwatch so it glinted in the sun. "I've been thinking. Let me take Nkechi to the city. I will put her in school immediately. Let her get a real education. Let her become someone great." For the first time since her father's death, hope flickered in Nkechi's eyes. A small, trembling smile tugged at her lips. "Mama, please," she whispered shyly. "I want to go. I want to learn. I want to help us. When I'm gone, it will be a less mouth for you to feed." Her mother's heart twisted painfully. She wanted to hold her daughter close, to protect her, but what future could she give her here? Poverty had already swallowed too many of their dreams. She looked at her sister long and hard. The wind blew gently, lifting the corner of her wrapper as she wrestled with fear. "Stella, you will take care of her, Abby. My child has suffered enough." Aunt Stella placed a hand dramatically on her chest. I will treat her like my own. Don't worry. I will send pictures when she starts school. She will even learn computer. Leave everything to me." Her words sounded sweet, too sweet. Nkechi turned to look at her mother, her eyes pleading silently. "Mama, please," she whispered. "It's for the best." Her mother swallowed hard. She could see hope shining in her daughter's face, hope that reminded her painfully of her own abandoned dreams. She exhaled slowly and nodded. "Go with your aunt, my daughter. Make us proud." By evening, Nkechi packed her small nylon bag filled with 2 dresses, 1 church shoe, and an old sweater. Her siblings watched her with mixed emotions. They have never been apart from each other. Tears blurred their vision as they hugged. Nkechi hugged her mother tightly, breathing in the familiar smell of palm oil and firewood that clung to her clothes. The sky turned orange as the sun dropped behind the tall palm trees. The car engine started. Aunt Stella smiled at the villagers, waving goodbye. From the back seat, Nkechi watched the village disappear, her heart beating with excitement and nervous hope. She rested her head against the window, busy imagining classrooms, new exercise books, and a future filled with endless possibilities. The road stretched endlessly before her like a promise she did not know was a lie. The city welcomed her with bright lights and noisy streets, but beneath the brightness lurked the beginning of a life she didn't dream of. The first morning in the city should have felt magical, exciting even. At least that was what Nkechi expected when she arrived at Aunt Stella's compound, a tall cream-painted building in a busy Lagos neighborhood, surrounded by metal shops, shouting traders, and the distant sound of commercial buses honking. But as dawn broke, she quickly realized the city did not welcome everyone with open arms. She woke to the sharp voice of her aunt slicing through the quiet like a blade. "Nkechi, stand up. You think this is your village? Go and sweep this compound before the sun comes out." Nkechi jumped out of the small mattress thrown on the floor in a small room. She was anxious and confused. The cold tiles beneath her bare feet reminded her that this house, large and painted, was not hers. She hurried outside, broom in hand, watching the sky slowly brighten into a pale orange. Her arms moved quickly as she swept sand, leaves, and papers scattered across the compound. The air smelled of last night's fried rice mixed with car exhaust from the street outside. Her aunt's children, Rita 13-year-old and Samuel 11-year-old, stood by the veranda watching her sweep. Aunt Stella appeared at the doorway, moments later, arms folded. Her face looked nothing like the kind woman who had come to the village with sweet promises. Her mood was irritated, controlling. "You've not finished?" she barked. "If you like, stay there till night. After this one, you go and wash plates. And you must bathe these children before school. Do you hear me?" Nkechi nodded fearfully. "Yes, Auntie." Her voice cracked. The word auntie carried weight, too much weight for her small heart. After sweeping, she got the children ready for school and then rushed into the kitchen. Greasy plates filled the sink. Pots blackened from last night's cooking covered the stove. She washed them all, her hands trembling from exhaustion, her eyes occasionally drifting to the window where Rita ate eggs and bread leisurely. When the children finished eating, Aunt Stella placed their dishes in the sink and turned to her niece. "Better wash everything before I come back," she said. "And mop this whole floor. Use bleach. I don't want to smell anything." Nkechi nodded again, though her heart ached. She had imagined school uniforms, notebooks, maybe joining the children in class. But instead, she was scrubbing floors on her first day. Still, a fragile thread of hope remained. Maybe this was temporary. Maybe her aunt would still enroll her. Later in the afternoon, when the house was quiet and she had finally caught her breath, she walked timidly into the living room where Aunt Stella was watching TV. "Auntie," she said softly, clutching the edge of her skirt, "please, you said you will put me in school. When will I start?" The room went silent. Aunt Stella turned her head slowly, eyes narrowing. Her mood chilled instantly. "School?" she repeated. "Is it me you're asking that kind of question? Do you have money? Does your mother have money? Don't disturb me." Nkechi's lips trembled. "I thought you said—" "You heard me," Stella snapped. "When you work well and stop behaving lazy, maybe I will consider you. For now, go and wash my clothes." With that, she turned back to her show, ending the conversation like a slammed door. Nkechi walked away with tears in her eyes, trying to keep them from falling. There was no privacy in the house, no place to cry, no room to hide pain. She washed the clothes outside, her small hands struggling with big wrappers and shirts, her eyes burning from disbelief. Every moment revealed a new truth. The city was not her rescue, and Aunt Stella was not her saviour. She was not a niece. She was a maid, a hidden one, a silent one, a voiceless one. By sundown, as she mopped the last corner of the living room floor, her body ached all over. The city lights flickered outside the window, mocking her. They glowed brightly for others, but not for her. She sat quietly on the cold tiles, hugging her knees, her face buried in her skirt. Her hope, once bright as morning sunlight, now clashed brutally with the reality of the life she had walked into. And dawn was only the first day. The suffering was just beginning. The sun had barely risen over the bustling Lagos neighbourhood when Nkechi quietly swept the corridor outside her aunt's room. Her mood was hopeful today, hopeful in a way she hadn't been for months. Something inside her kept whispering that today might be different. Maybe, just maybe, Aunt Stella would finally listen. The house around her was already alive, the noisy generator humming from the backyard, the television playing loud cartoons for her cousins, and the familiar smell of fried eggs drifting from the kitchen she wasn't allowed to eat from unless something was left over. She wiped sweat from her forehead, clutching the corner of her dress. She had decided she would try again. Nkechi approached Aunt Stella as she sat applying makeup before her small mirror. "Auntie, good morning, Ma," Nkechi greeted softly, squeezing her fingers together. Stella didn't glance up. Nkechi swallowed. "Auntie, will you help me register for school now? I've washed all the plates, swept everywhere, and—" Stella snapped the mirror shut. "Register? Register how?" She stood abruptly and faced her. "Are you the only one whose father died? Should I kill myself because you want to go to school?" "Auntie, I'll work hard," Nkechi whispered. "I just want to learn." "Please," Stella scoffed loudly. "So after feeding you, clothing you, housing you, I should still use my money to send you to school? Do you know how much school fees are when you don't have shame?" Nkechi's eyes stung. "But Auntie, you promised." "Oh, please, spare me that emotional blackmail. Not all promises are kept," Stella said. Nkechi's eyes stung. "Auntie, I will pay back." "Oh, you want to pay back?" Stella clapped her hands mockingly. "With what? With the air you are breathing?" "No, Auntie, when I become successful," Nkechi said. Her cousins, Rita and Samuel, peeked from the doorway. Rita rolled her eyes, annoyed but quietly sympathetic. She had always hated the way her mother spoke to Nkechi, but she lacked the power to intervene. Stella's voice grew sharper. "If you really want to go to school, go and make money. Lazy girl. Opportunity is passing you. You're still thinking like a villager." Nkechi blinked. "Auntie? Opportunity?" Stella grabbed her purse. "Yes. Since you want to go to school by force, go and work for it. You will start hawking pure water. Save the profit. When it is enough, we will enroll you." Nkechi's face brightened instantly. She didn't hear the sarcasm dripping from Stella's voice. She didn't notice Rita's worried expression. All she heard was possibility, a path towards the future she dreamed of. "Thank you, Auntie. God bless you," she said, kneeling with joy. Stella smirked. "Stand up, Jaw. Go and prepare. By this afternoon, you'll follow Mama Chica to the main road." That afternoon, the city's heat rose in shimmering waves, a harsh, blinding kind of sunshine that made the air feel heavy. Nkechi stepped out with a large basin balanced on her head, packed with sachets of ice-cold water. Her young, hopeful face glowed with excitement. "This is my chance," she whispered. "School, I'm coming." Everywhere she went, traffic jams, bus stops, roadside shops, she smiled brightly, calling out, pure water, very cold." "Buy your very cold pure water here." Some drivers teased her, some ignored her, some bought from her. But Nkechi didn't mind. Each 20 naira note she collected felt like a step closer to the classroom she had been dreaming about since her father died. She imagined herself sitting at a desk again, holding a pen, writing her name, Nkechi Okafor, SS1, student. Her heart danced with hope. By evening, when the sun dipped behind the buildings, her legs ached. Sweat soaked her dress. Her shoulders felt sore. Yet she returned home smiling, the day's sales wrapped in nylon in her hand. "Auntie, I finished everything," she said proudly. Stella snatched the nylon, counted the money, and tucked it into her bra. "Good," she said casually. "Tomorrow you will go again." Nkechi nodded eagerly. "Yes, Auntie. When will I start saving for school?" Stella's eyes narrowed. "Saving? Is it not me that will keep the money for you? Are you the one feeding yourself? Don't bring foolish talk." Nkechi bowed her head. "Yes, Ma." But inside her hope still fluttered like a stubborn bird refusing to die. The morning heat in Lagos had a way of rising early, long before the traffic, long before the shouting bus conductors, long before the neighborhood woke up. And long before Nkechi stepped out with a heavy basin of pure water balanced on her head. Her mood was a painful mix of tired hope and silent fear. Every day felt the same: long hours, hot sun, empty stomach, and promises that never became reality. By 11 a.m., the sun already pressed harshly against Nkechi's skin as she hurried toward the express road. Sweat trickled down her neck, soaking her dress, but she kept walking. Pure water, very cold," she called out, her young voice rising above the honking of yellow buses. Sometimes she ran beside moving cars. Sometimes she stood in traffic under the scorching heat. Sometimes she stood for hours waiting for customers. Her throat grew dry, her legs trembled. Her head pounded from balancing the heavy basin. But she reminded herself, one day soon, school. "Auntie Stella said I am saving. I just have to work harder." Her innocence was a shield, one that kept breaking a little more each day. Every evening she returned home exhausted, her back aching, her skin darkening under the harsh sun. She would hand the money to her aunt with a trembling smile. "Auntie, today was good," she would say. Stella would snatch the nylon bag, count the money quickly, and without looking up, mutter, "Go and wash the plates, and sweep the parlour, and make sure you boil water." "Auntie, how much have we saved for school now?" Nkechi would ask shyly. Stella's eyes would flash with irritation. "You again? Is it not me keeping it? Do you think food cooks itself? Are you not living under my roof?" Nkechi swallowed the pain. "Yes, Ma." Every day. Same question, same dismissal. Her savings were growing, but not for her. As days turned to weeks, Stella's anger deepened. Every low sales day was laziness. Every late return was stubbornness. Every tear was manipulation. Stella found faults everywhere. "You are too slow. Why are you standing like a wee log of wood? Do you want to eat free food forever? If you don't make enough, I won't send you to school." Sometimes she slapped her. Sometimes she starved her. Sometimes she ignored her entirely. Stella's children, spoilt, pampered, loud, watched her with mixed expressions. Some mocked her. Some pitied her. But only one truly cared. Chidi, who's a year older than Nkechi, had always been different from his mother. Quiet, observant, soft-hearted. And lately, he had been watching Nkechi more closely. He noticed how she limped when she walked into the house. He noticed the way her hands shook as she served dinner. He noticed the bruises that she tried to hide under her sleeves. And he noticed something else, too, something that troubled him deeply. She was changing. Her bright eyes were dimming. Her laughter had died completely. Her shoulders were always hunched, like someone carrying a weight heavier than her age. One evening, as she dragged her tired feet into the compound, Chidi stepped out from the corridor. "Nkechi," he said softly. She paused, startled. "Good evening." He studied her face, the exhaustion, the silent fear. "Are you okay?" Her lips trembled. She nodded too quickly. "I'm fine." "You don't look fine," he said gently. Her eyes glistened with tears she refused to let fall. "I just need to work harder. Auntie said we are saving for school." Chidi's chest tightened. Saving. He had never seen his mother save anything, especially not for someone else. "You're doing too much," he whispered. "You're just a child." Nkechi forced a small smile. "I'm helping my family, and I want to go to school." Chidi's jaw clenched. He wanted to tell her the truth, that his mother wasn't saving anything for her, that she was being used, that this life wasn't normal. But he held back. She looked too fragile, like a small candle flickering in the wind. He simply said, "If anything is wrong, tell me." She nodded, grateful, but she still kept everything inside. Because truth didn't seem to have a place in that house. The day had barely begun when Aunt Stella marched into the kitchen where Nkechi was rinsing plates. Her mood was unusually sharp this morning, impatient, irritated, and looking for someone to release her anger on. "Stand up," Stella barked. Nkechi froze. "Ma?" Stella pointed at her with the ladle in her hand. "You will stop hawking water. It's not bringing enough money. From today you will start hawking oranges. They're more profitable, and you must pay back all I've done for you." Nkechi blinked. "Oranges?" Her heart lifted immediately. If oranges brought more money, then surely school was closer now. She dropped the plate, wiped her hands on her wrapper, and smiled faintly. "Yes, Auntie. If it will help me start school faster, I will do it." Stella's lips curled into a mocking smirk. "Good. At least you have sense today." But her eyes held no kindness. They never did. By afternoon, the sun climbed high, blazing fiercely over the neighborhood. Nkechi stepped out of the compound with a wide tray piled with bright orange fruits, covered lightly with a towel. The tray was balanced carefully on her head, and her mood was a trembling blend of exhaustion and desperate faith. She whispered to herself as she began her long walk, "Just a little more. Just a little more effort. School is near." The city stretched before her, busy roads, thick crowds, shouting conductors, sellers calling out prices. A familiar chaos, but today she faced it with renewed strength. She walked to the bus stop, then the market gate, then the junction near the express. Her voice called out over the heat. "Sweet oranges, very sweet oranges." Customers stopped occasionally. Some haggled aggressively, some insulted her. Some bought only out of pity. But Nkechi kept smiling, kept hoping. Kept believing this was her last lap before she became a student. Unlike water, quick to sell, always needed, oranges were unpredictable. Some days she finished selling quickly. Other days she carried the tray home almost untouched. Rainy days were the worst. People didn't buy oranges when the sky darkened. And when she returned home, with fruits still on her tray, Stella's rage exploded. What kind of useless child are you? You cannot sell ordinary oranges. Is it not your mates that send money home? Lazy girl. In my house, we don't tolerate nonsense. Nkechi would cry silently, her hands shaking as she rinsed the fruits for the next day. Sometimes the tears dropped into the bucket, sometimes onto her dress, sometimes into her heart. But always she hid her pain behind the belief that all this suffering was building towards something. She kept saying to herself, "Auntie is saving it, she promised. She said, when it's enough, I will start school." Her innocence was the rope she held onto while standing over the deep pit Stella kept digging beneath her. One Saturday morning, after 2 days of terrible sales, Stella stormed into the backyard where Nkechi was washing clothes. "You useless girl! You are eating my food and giving me nothing in return," her aunt shouted, grabbing the wet shirt from her hand and flinging it onto the ground. "Auntie, please, I try up." "Shut up," Stella snapped. "You see this tray?" she shouted, pointing like a general giving orders. "You will finish everything today, everything. If you come back with even one orange, don't enter my house, sleep outside. I don't care." The words hit Nkechi like a slap. She looked at Rita and Samuel, her cousins, standing at the doorway. Samuel looked indifferent, but Rita looked guilty, unable to meet Nkechi's eyes. Only Chidi stepped forward. "Mum, it's not her fault," he said quietly. "You know sometimes the market is slow." Stella glared at him. "Chidi, don't provoke me this morning. Let her learn responsibility. Nobody helped me when I was suffering." Chidi looked away bitterly. He had seen too much. He was beginning to understand that this wasn't discipline. It was abuse. Nkechi picked up the tray, her hands trembling, her chest tightening. She whispered softly, "God, help me." Then she stepped into the scorching sun again, sweat already forming on her forehead, but determination burning in her fragile heart. She believed this was the step before her breakthrough. She believed her aunt's words still held truth. She didn't know she was walking deeper into a darkness she would never escape from. The tray felt heavier today, not because of the oranges, but because of fear. Her feet dragged as she walked, her chest tight, her eyes foggy. Passers-by noticed the sadness etched on her young face, but no one stopped. Everyone was too busy with their own survival. She whispered to herself over and over, "I must finish it. I must finish it. She will beat me. I must finish it." Her voice cracked, barely audible. The sun had barely risen, yet sweat already coated her entire body. She walked to the junction, then to the market, then to the bus stop, then to the streets she had walked 100 times. Sweet oranges, very sweet oranges. But her voice shook, her spirit was weak, and fear clung to her like a shadow. The day dragged painfully, each hour heavier than the last. People bought fewer oranges. Some ignored her. Some bargained too hard. Some insulted her for no reason. She tried every strategy she had learned. Standing in moving traffic, following buses, walking the length of long, dusty roads. Calling out until her throat felt scratched. But the oranges remained. By afternoon, heat waves rolled off the tarred road, baking her skin. Her legs wobbled from exhaustion. Her fingers felt numb from holding the tray steady. She sat under a kiosk, tears slipping down her dusty cheeks. She wiped them quickly. She didn't want anyone to see her cry. "God help me," she whispered. "Please, please let me sell." But nothing changed. The tray was barely half empty. As evening approached, the sky dimmed slightly, signalling night was coming, signalling Stella's wrath was near. That was when fear swallowed her completely. Her heart pounded so loudly she could hear it. Her breath turned short and panicked. Her palms grew sweaty, though the tray still felt like stone on her head. What if Auntie locks me out? What if she beats me again? The fear pushed into her bones until her entire body shivered. She walked slower, then faster, then slower again. Her mind was scattered, like her thoughts were running in different directions. She didn't see the cars passing. She didn't notice her slippers tearing. She didn't feel the pain in her feet. She only saw Stella's face in her head, shouting, pointing, threatening. The street was unusually calm. No children playing, no vendors shouting, no traffic noise. Just the soft whistle of a distant generator and the chirping of tired evening birds. Every few steps, she whispered, "Auntie will beat me. Auntie will beat me. God help me sell." As she dragged her tired legs home, a voice called, "Hey, fine girl, come here, I want to buy." A deep, calm, friendly male voice, almost too gentle for the world she knew. She turned. A young man of about 27 stood at the gate of a quiet compound. His smile was gentle, his tone friendly. Nkechi's heart lifted. At least she could finish the tray. At least she could go home in peace. He opened the gate wider. "Come inside. Hope it's sweet. I'll buy everything." Her naive joy overpowered her fear. She entered.